they are not horses, or so the poly market, if this season had poly market bets on. Yeah, so, hey everybody, what's up? This is Retrokid Reviews with brighter lighting than usual. What? To mainly do a catch-up review for Season 3, the final season for the Korean show so far of Squid Game. And, yeah, there's really not much to go off of from my last time on. I did a big lore dump of the original series, my thoughts of the show after the fact before going to Season 2, so cards there to my explainer for Season 2. So, with that being said, spoilers, but given how everyone's been kind of feeling this show, post K-pop Demon Hunters, go to my also review for that as well. I think that out of the two Korean projects coming out this year is the one that's surprisingly the more popular. We'll get more on that when we get to it. So, that being said, where we left off last time was the siege at the games itself, where Ji-young was trying to basically stop it as humanly possible the last almost like 2 to 20 minutes of the second season, and unfortunately all of that went to nothing, and essentially he had to continue the games itself. However, that being said, I will say my favorite game coming out of this season, though not the finale game, for some who probably think that as well, was a lot of good, diametrically opposing to like how democracy would normally work in like a voting system that isn't just traditional stuff and trying to like be like trust me bro kind of vibes when it comes to pushing guys off a cliff kind of thing. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves with the games here, but the knife game that came roughly after that whole incident, I think is the most gripping of the season. If you've seen the original first season with Marbles games, got those kinds of vibes more importantly. And that being said, the son and mom characters pretty much went the most obvious route with that game, and it was very tragic at the end, going into the final rounds for that kind of stuff. As for what has become the most meme thing about this and last season, the boat plot, and sadly, yeah, the boat plot is still chugging along, pacing the story out and everything. However, good news for subplots that I actually was writing with all the way through these two seasons was the guard plot. I think, what was it, number 10, who was apparently there was a lot of lore at the tail end of her episodes. Turns out she was an ex-North Korean soldier who had to move to the south due to a lot of insubordination reasons and stuff like that, some sort of chain of command problems, and losing her family. And if you remember the bookie guy that was trying to like help, I forgot the kid that was looking for her brother's character. Long story short, she had that same guy basically look for that kid too and try to smuggle him out of the north going into the south. That was the whole crux of that season. Here, though, it's about the same thing, but I feel like he's just half hearing, half listening, and more importantly, may have a tip that might help her go into China, weirdly. So, Wild Goose Chase or not, hey, at least something to get off the games is out of your head and stuff like that. Because outside of that, she definitely helped out at least one other player to get out of the island, which is more than I think even what Ji-young could have done. So for the detective of Woo Han-jun, who played that guy, Hong Joo-ho, I believe that was the character there, he did okay for what he could do with most of that material, more or less. The worst case scenario, outside of the boat plot being the main plot for most of the episodes, the VIPs finally showed up after everything that went down in the knife game. Apparently they were, I think there was a new feature this year for them to like be players themselves or be guards themselves, to be more first person after like after the aftermath of like a game. Made really no sense. The overdubbing has happened once again to those VIP actors. I don't really know why. Apparently that's a choice on Netflix's end. It's not on the showrunner's front, so I don't really know much when it comes to that. Outside of that, yeah, Hong Dong-hook, the original showrunner for all 3 seasons, definitely looked like he wasn't rushing. I'll say this when it comes to like the voting system and everything. I forgot I don't know if I mentioned this in the last season. There was a dad character who was just all in, trying to get everybody coming in or to stay in more of the game so that they could all have more equal shares of like bigger pools to like get out of debt and stuff. That guy naturally became the real villain for the rest of the back half of this season. The crazy fortune teller lady also got taken out very early on in season 3 during the knife game, but then again, this was more or less their Marbles episode, so I kind of understand that conclusion for her story arc and everything. I forgot, I think it was Park Yuno, if I also got her name right, playing Kang Oh-nu, the pregnant mom that actually unfortunately, during the Knife Game, actually gave birth to her kid, and she managed to live throughout the entirety of it because, big spoilers here, I'm just doing my scatter shots. For those who know, I basically do, basically a lot of, like, random aspects in, like, damn. Been a while since I had to do my train of thought on this one, so sporadic. Here we go. Yeah, we're more or less in sporadic spoilers mode, maybe because I'm almost a couple of months behind on this finale. So sorry in advance. So yeah, Junon more or less sacrificed himself to make sure the kid gets to live and have all of the winnings for the game. Most of his Black Ops guys that he hired got killed aside from the detective character, and I think the bookie guy on his end, trying to like find out what's going on. I think he took a dive for the cops just to like get the word out about the whole captain, that whole half of the boat plot. He's fine. Both him and the detective Juno are basically trying to like rebuild after Jion. And it's kind of like one of those like Korean style downer endings that kind of leaves you open for more. We'll get to why in a minute on that open more part, but for the downer ending end on Juno's Lee Jong-jae, long story short, he is definitely a namestay here in the States. He might get more work later down the road. For Ling Bong-hoon, who was the frontman in Ho, he was more theatrical when it comes to being around the VIPs, but when it comes to like just double checking on Juno if he's gonna do another attack and everything, there was no pacing. There was really no hook of that, which I actually would have mind. Outside of me just speedrunning to the finish, that's kind of how it felt mostly when going through these games. The games themselves were still dramatic, they were still intense. The jump swing game before the finale game definitely gives you a lot of shades to yeah, the red light, green light game, way back in season 1. I think the reason behind that is because I think the kid statues in that are actually the same continuity of a children's story for the red light, green light girl, so that's basically the crux there. There's a lot of Korean colloquialisms I'm going to be missing due to the grounds that I am an American viewer, so my bad in advance. For obvious review purposes, I only sat through the sub, and the only time the VIP dubs were out of sync was mainly because I thought I was just reading into like the Korean dub, but it turns out both dubs are basically that, like, all over again. So again, I still think that's more of Netflix's decision, not the showrunner's decision, if anything else. So, unfortunately, that being said, final ratings first before we get to the spoiler ending. It's sadly a 7 out of 10. Not for nothing, it's trying what it can. The cinematography, the games themselves are way more dramatic than usual, due to the grounds of the final games and have to really amp up the tension. And it's definitely there, more or less, but when you go to the boat plot, diametrically opposed. Like, you cannot tell me otherwise. Outside of that, last spoilers here. So yeah, because Junon is now out of the game and out of the series. Long story short, from it, Inho gets away with it, hence the downer ending part, but at the same time basically gives what little the winnings, I think, from his original game to his daughter in the States, more importantly in LA, and I guess took it and that would have been the end of it. Had not for one more thing. For some reason whatsoever, Cate Blanchett showed up out of nowhere playing a recruiter character, implying that the games are global and have been like all over the world, and that's what the showrunner wants to imply, like it's an open ending kind of thing. Doesn't mean they're gonna do a spin-off show, but given the success of Squid game these last couple of years, my mispronunciation of the actual name of the series itself, sorry, long day here, yeah, it's kind of inevitable they might do a spin-off show. There's rumors for years that David Fincher might pick up the show, give it like the same show-running team he did for Mindhunter for Netflix. So again, that might have that same implications. I all but hope it happens, but I also don't doubt that it's just rumor mill and nothing really concrete till later down the road. Maybe another Tudum conference, maybe next year, to confirm that, and anything else. But Netflix has also been known to take shows forever to come out. For those who also don't know, go to my Devil May Cry season for that explanation of how that show took forever to get here. So that being said, it's really up to you if you want to finish the show. If you liked what you saw in season 2, despite the boat plot, and if you're there just for completion, for 3 seasons as a whole, it's still unique television, even for Korean standards, even for K-drama standards, even for American standards. It is a global phenomenon regardless. If you're there for season 3, you're just basically there for completion, and it's kind of understandable if you do so. Outside of that, I've heard Korean movies and shows have way worse downer endings. I'm very much aware of the parasite of it all. Outside of that, that's kind of how I feel. I feel like there could have been more. If you're gonna sell me a downer ending, at least go out a little more on like his own terms. Like it is there. Like, not, make no mistake. Like, Lee Jong Jae is definitely doing the best acting he's ever could. Coming back to Jion after so many years, like, you could definitely see him just swan songing the character in the best way. Like, I see it, but I just feel like there should have been more episodes gearing up to that brokenness that he could have been for the remaining half of the games. So that's really it. That's kind of my thoughts as a whole. Sorry in advance for no current movies for Weapons, and anything else is in theaters. August and September are going to be a dry month here, just to let you know in advance. Also, my birthday is in a couple of weeks, and also my best friend is going to be married on said birthday. So with that being said, to the happy couple, hey, what's up? How you guys doing? In advance for future them. And with future stuff aside, go to possibly future hands here to my shorts playlist for my Critical Role thoughts on Brennan Lee Mulligan being GM for Camping 4. I promised to do a retro news about that. The reason why that's been held up was because I'm still waiting on more footage to go off of with the Commodore Zets press conference. They did show the trailer. I don't know if it's going to come out officially yet, so I could just link it down below as always. That being said, I'll leave Hakilis' channel and any other TokuTubers reacts on standby just in case nothing really comes out yet. I'm also aware that that show might be coming out on September 7th, and I think the DX toys are going to be releasing there too. So for those who are pre-ordering, I'll talk about that in the retro news. So last hands here to my previous video, which was obviously talking about some retro news with Critical Role's Mighty 9, speaking of which, among other projects, among other videos, and obviously my K-pop Demon Hunters double review with Happy Gilmore 2 to keep it Netflix here in the house. Not at all, I guess, privateer guy helping out the boat plot, I guess, strip aside. To sub the channel, hit the notification bell down below. And with that all being said, I am Retrokid saying, yeah, despite everything, this was a decent show. If you really have the time, please give it a chance. It doesn't really justify the 7 out of 10, I will admit that, but it's not the most disappointing of a Netflix series I've seen. Trust me, there'd be way more out there on the platform. But with that all being said, take care, subscribe, and they're really not going to do a spin-off US season, right? Really, Netflix?